Charlie Hoffheimer, and today we're going to talk about Pendente Lite, the secret to a successful divorce. You know, many women don't realize that once you file a divorce, you are then entitled to have a hearing on temporary support, custody, who's going to be in the home, and it's an incredibly important and critically important hearing for you. And I don't think enough attorneys take it serious enough, given the fact that how you do in a Pendente Lite hearing can oftentimes determine how you negotiate and settle a case. So in our firm, we believe that you take a court reporter to you every time you have a Pendente Lite hearing. And the court reporter will then take down any testimony that takes place during the hearing. Now here's what practically happens at a Pendente Lite hearing. You give notice to your husband of this temporary hearing, and you're asking for spousal support, custody, child support, exclusive possession of the residence, that he not bring the girlfriend around the children if that's an issue, no harassment, no wasting of assets, attorney's fees, payment of certain debts. And so what the Pendente Lite does, it's like building the foundation or building a frame on your divorce. And if you're with a really good and successful attorney, what they're going to do is have you well prepared for that hearing, because many attorneys, I believe, don't take that hearing seriously enough, and perhaps don't prepare their client well enough for the hearing. And so if the client goes in there and they aren't well prepared, and they don't settle the case before you literally appear before the judge, they could be subject to some pretty thorough cross-examination, and it could really be helpful or beneficial to you if you are prepared. And I'll give you an example. One of the issues that comes up the most, obviously, is income of a party for spousal support and child support purposes. And oftentimes, you'll find early in a case that a husband may try to minimize his income. And if we have really worked on his case and gotten good records, etc., because of the work that you've done, then perhaps we can catch him lying on the stand about his income. And if it's significant, that can have an impact in the decision making of the judge. I think the biggest thing that a Pendente Lite hearing often does is when there are couples having a hard time working out the issue of spousal support, the fact that a determination is made by a judge and an amount is proffered or ordered, actually, not proffered, that kind of lets the husband know, guess what, he really is going to pay support. Because often we have cases where the guy said, I'm not paying you support. We take him to a Pendente Lite hearing, and all of a sudden he finds out, guess what, the court just ordered him to pay $1,500 a month, or $2,000 or $3,000, or in higher income cases, a whole lot more money. So oftentimes a Pendente Lite hearing kind of sets the standard, kind of causes your husband to understand that he's no longer in control. And that oftentimes leads to getting a settlement that's responsible for you and very critical. So we think you need to be prepared for a Pendente Lite hearing. You absolutely should have a court reporter at every hearing. You will hear attorneys say, oh, it's only a temporary hearing. It doesn't have any bearing in the final trial. You don't need a court reporter. And I say balderdash. That is not true. I know you're wondering, what does balderdash mean? But what I say is balderdash, because actually I've gotten terrific admissions in Pendente Lite hearings about about girlfriends and even boyfriends in some cases. And it really has been a valuable tool by which one can then set up a good negotiations and a good settlement of your case. So the Pendente Lite hearing, very important. Take it seriously and know that it could actually determine the outcome of your divorce. Now, one last thing. Most Pendente Lite hearings are never heard. What I mean by that is you go down to the courthouse, you anticipate appearing before the judge, and in fact you and your attorney settle the case with you and your husband, or at least settle the temporary support issues. I want to tell you this. It's very important that you meet with your attorney before the Pendente Lite hearing so that you can work out what the parameters of settlement would be on the issues of the Pendente Lite hearing, because the judges don't really like to hear these cases. They'd much rather you and your husband settle, and you and your attorney need to be in sync, synchronized in what you're going to ask for and what you will accept. So, being prepared for a Pendente Lite hearing, which is so important to your case, is critical, and make sure that you tell your attorney that you want to meet with them for an hour or two before that hearing so you can be prepared. This is really critical information. I think you're going to find it helpful, and I look forward to meeting you someday. Thanks a bunch.